recording.
Okay.
Can you give us your full name and spelling?
Sure. And spelling?
It's a mic check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Benjamin Walters, Benjamin, space Walters.
You mean they're not together?
AKA
Hyphenated at a time, but we
AKA.
since legally changed that. AKA Illy Jam.
All right.
I think that should go in
We
there.
should put that in.
For sure.
All right, we're rolling.
Okay, so how long have you been doing the praying 5 Psalms a day,
Mm-hmm.
and what surprised you about the experience?
So I've been endeavoring to pray through 5 Psalms a day since Pastor Boone, whom I affectionately refer to as PB, and I met in the beginning of February. And what has surprised me is how much I've gleaned from the Psalms as I've prayed them. The Bible is so neat in that it's the only book whose author can also indwell you. And as I speak the Spirit-inspired scriptures back to the Lord, I've found that I've been encouraged, and also it's given me deeper times of communion with the Lord.
Awesome, awesome. Have you found anything to be difficult about the experience?
I have found some of the Psalms to be a little difficult to pray, specifically the imprecatory Psalms, the ones about invoking judgment, calamity, curses on my enemies or God's enemies. I believe these Psalms are Spirit-inspired or God-breathed and therefore profitable, but I am hesitant to credit my own flawed sense of justice to the point where I feel comfortable praying for God to judge my enemies. So I don't know how to handle that yet. I know in the end, when we have glorified bodies, we will rejoice at God's just judgment of evil and evildoers. But how that plays out now, I'm looking to learn more.
Great, great. And you've kind of touched on this already, but how has this experience been a blessing to you?
This experience has been a blessing in that I feel like it's fostered more intentional, day-long communion with the Lord. I got to reference my notes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
No problem.
Yeah, just
Okay.
Take it from the top.
Yeah, from the top. Okay.
Yeah, how's it been a blessing?
How's it been a blessing? Praying through the Psalms has been a blessing in that it's facilitated more consistent, intentional, day-long communion with the Lord. I think the structure and discipline has been really helpful in just having more sweet time with Jesus. For example, rather than merely opening up social media and scrolling through that endlessly at my lunch break, I open up a psalm, I pray that to the Lord, and find myself feeling way more refreshed.
Awesome, awesome. What advice do you have for anyone who's doing this?
I would say let your goal in doing this.
Restate-
Oh, yes.
Restate the question.
Okay.
Yeah. What I tell somebody, yeah.
Okay. What advice would I give someone else endeavoring to do this? I would say let your goal in doing it be nearness to God. Don't legalistically harbor feelings of guilt when you miss reading a psalm as though your performance can either merit or forfeit God's favor. Jesus' perfect performance already earned God's favor for you, so rest in that, but then press on, persevere in reading the scriptures, praying the psalms to God, and like James 1:25 says, you will be blessed in your doing.
Amen. Amen. Anything else you want to share about any of this? Yeah.
Final thoughts, I would say that this discipline helps us to live out our purpose. John Piper, expounding upon the Westminster Catechism, said, "The chief end of man is to glorify God by enjoying Him forever." And I think this helps us to enjoy God as we spend time with Him and thereby glorify Him. So it's helpful in that regard. Also, God has appointed that the pastoral staff be the shepherds of our flock, and as members of that flock, I think we ought to follow them as they follow the Lord. Their spirit sent their, what's the word? Their, how did I write it down? Oh yeah, their spirit-yielded hearts have recommended this discipline to us, and I think it would be wise for us to obediently follow them in that for the glory of God.
You might want to do that last one over.
Last
because
part.
That's going to be a tough one to edit.
Yeah, right, okay. That whole last one?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what advice should I give?
Yeah.
Okay. Final thoughts. I would say that this practice of praying through the Psalms helps us to live out what our chief purpose is. John Piper, in expounding upon the Westminster Catechism, said that the chief end of man is to glorify God by enjoying Him forever. This helps us to enjoy God as we spend sweet times of fellowship with Him, and then we glorify Him by doing that. Also, the pastors of our church, they've been ordained, appointed by God to oversee the flock, and as members of that flock, we ought to just humbly submit to what they have. I gotta restart.
You can start it also.
Also, okay,
Yeah,
also.
right there. That's good. Yeah.
Also, how did I say it here? Okay, got it. Ready? Okay.
Good.
Also, God has appointed the pastoral staff as shepherds, and as members of this flock, we ought to follow their lead. Their spirit-yielded hearts have recommended this discipline to us, and we should be obedient in following in. I almost had it.
Also.
Back to the top. Take
Also,
3.
yeah. Also is good. Hey, this is the great thing about videoing.
Yeah, right.
There's no
Many
problem.
takes as you
There's
want.
no problem.
Okay. Also, ready?
Okay.
Also, God has appointed the pastoral staff as shepherds, and as members of that flock, we ought to be obedient and follow their lead as they follow Jesus. Their spirit-yielded hearts have recommended this discipline to us, and I think we would all be blessed by following their lead to the glory of God.
Amen. Amen. I want to ask one more question. Okay, so I know that you're a musician and an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Has the discipline of praying through the Psalms every day. Have you seen any effect of that upon your this gift,
Creativity.
your this gift of yours?
As a musician.
Yeah, as a musician, or I should start it this way. As I've been praying through the Psalms, I have seen it take. All right, I'll start at the top. As I've been praying through the Psalms, I have noticed it starting to affect the way that I write music to the glory of God. I feel more liberated to be real with the Lord about the things I'm feeling, because I see templates for that all throughout the Psalms for every human emotion you can imagine. And I like to use them as guides for how to likewise express myself to the Lord in a biblical way, and hopefully help other people to do the same.
Have you noticed the Psalms teaching you about any particular attributes of God, and if so, what are they? The answer might be no, but
I want to
I'm
think.
just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Take a minute to think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious.
I've noticed, and this is not ready to be recorded, but I've noticed there's a lot of talk of like royal language, God being king, us being a part of His kingdom, which I've found really interesting. Because us Western 21st century Americans just say democracy, but the government of heaven is a monarchy, ruled by a good king. So maybe that would be one thing. And then also the learning about the justice of God, that would be another.
Yeah.
So maybe it's those two. Yeah, I think I'll say that. So say the question for me again.
Okay, the question is, as you've been praying through the Psalms, have you noticed that the Psalms are instructing you about the attributes of God, and if so, in what way has that struck you new? Yeah.
As I've been reading through the Psalms, I've been struck by the language of royalty that I see all throughout it. God is depicted as a sovereign king, and we as His people who will one day be a part of His immediate, realized on the new heavens, new earth kingdom. So that struck me, as well as I feel like I'm gaining a greater sense of God's justice and just how much He hates evil and sin and how He must judge that because of His holy character. I think I'm gaining a greater appreciation for that.
Okay, we're good.
All right.